25th ELTA Virtual University webinar. Hello everyone, and thank you for joining. Can anybody of you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes, Ms. Zainab, I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yes, we
Thank you.
hear you.
Thank you. So, welcome to our 25th webinar, ELTA Virtual University webinar. Error correction in language teaching. We are still waiting for some participants to join. About that time, we can start some housekeeping items and information about today's webinar, today's speaker, and the content of our event. I am Zina Bourara, and I will be the moderator of today's webinar. I am a teacher trainer from Algeria and the ELTA Virtual University Compliance Coordination Manager. If it is your first time to attend our webinars, ELTA Virtual University is a non-profit educational organization that was founded on February 2020. Supporting student teachers and future teachers by delivering a variety of ELT topics. Before handing the mic over to our speaker today, and before starting our webinar, I would really like to start sharing some housekeeping items and information to cover this open discussion webinar. So for today's webinar, the recording is going to be available on demand. It is going to be a live session over, and certainly we are going to share with you the recording via email to all the participants. Along with, we are going to share it on our social media pages, including Facebook page, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. We are going right now to share on the chat thread the link to our page of Facebook so that you will stay updated with our upcoming events. So next, we would really love to hear from you, and every participant is allowed to participate and offer an opinion. Ask a question to the presenter along to myself during the webinar. So Salah is going to give some time after or within each slide in which someone of you would like to add a point, someone of you would like to share a collection of his or her experience. So most of the house items that are really important during every event we do for ELTA Virtual University are that every participant needs to keep himself or herself on mute. So please make sure that you mute yourselves, that we do not get an echo or we hear a kind of that noise or whatever in the place you are in at the same time. Do not hesitate to answer or to share your thoughts using the raising hand option. If you do not have access to it, that's absolutely fine. You can just write your comments on the chat thread, and I'll be sharing your comments, questions, and I'll be sharing them during the webinar. No need to open your cameras because we will be sharing the slides, and if you do so, we will be losing the sharing. So please, no need to open your cameras. Concerning certification, you are going to receive your certificates of attendance during before the next webinar, after the webinar, and during the next webinar. So please make sure that you check your name on the participant list. It should be written correctly in English. If you don't find it, I would really like to invite you to log out and log in again using your correct full name as you wished it to be on your certificate. As I mentioned earlier, today's topic or webinar entitled Error Correction in Language Teaching. So making mistakes is a normal part of learning a first language or any other language. However, one of the main dilemmas for us teachers, given conversation groups, is error correction. It is always tricky to know when and what to correct and how to go about error correction. Every teacher has different views on this and different ways of correcting their students' errors. It is a case of finding out what both you and your student feel comfortable with. Our presenter, Mr. Salah Bitam, is going to share with us ways on how to go with correction. I'm really delighted and honored, to welcome Mr. Salah Bitam, who has a great experience in the ELT field. He has many years as a teacher at the university, teaching English for academic purposes. Also, he is a certified CELTA trainer. He is also a journalist. He participated in national and international conferences where he shared his experience and expertise. And we have him we are delighted and really honored to have him for the second time in ELTA Virtual University series of webinar. So Salah, I hand the mic over to you. Thank you. I'm really delighted to welcome you, Mr. Salah. If you hear me? in waiting our speaker to respond, would you please make sure that every one of you is muting himself so not to discard or to disturb the speaker or to disturb the participants. I see Bashira is raising her hand. Is that by mistake or? So Bashira, I see you raising your hand. Do you want to say something, or maybe you this done by mistake?
We're waiting for الحد. And
Abdulrazak, would you please mute yourself?
And
And wait for the speaker. Please mute yourself. Thank you.
Well, hello everyone. Sorry, I missed the first introductions. Do I have everyone's attention? Shall I start?
Yes, Salah. Yes, the mic is over to you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Salah, and I'm presenting today the 25th webinar about error correction in language teaching. Well, as we all do know that as being teachers, when we are teaching in classroom, teaching languages, we are faced with students who aren't learning. By learning, they are going to face errors or make errors during their process of learning. So this is why, as teachers, we need to know how to deal with error corrections and which way, when, and what method to use in particular. So as of today, let's go back to when we were learning ourselves. So how did we feel? And this is the question for the participants, if you can, interact with me, of course, before we start. How did you feel when a teacher corrected you when you made a mistake as a student? I mean, personally, sometimes I got shocked because I didn't believe I could make any error. And other times I was so happy because of the learning process that I had. So what do you think? I mean, this question is for you guys. Did you like when your own teachers corrected your errors when you were a student? Anyone can answer me?
So, how did you feel about when if anyone corrects you? If there is anyone, one person, just raise your hand. I'm giving you the permission to speak. Yes, Khawla. Yes, go ahead. I can see Khawla and Sabrina. Sabrina, can you share with us your answer, please?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I hope you are all doing well. It's a pleasure to meet you again. Inshallah, it would be fruitful for all of us. Sometimes when we make a mistake, we don't really know that we have done a mistake. And when we are corrected, it's a joy to know that these mistakes are corrected for us. It means we are doing them again. Sometimes maybe we are doing them when we were young. We were ashamed to be corrected. But when we grow up, we see that these mistakes were a path in our life to say this was a mistake and I haven't done it again. It's positive. Thank you.
Can I speak? Hello? Can I share my thoughts?
I can
Yeah, of course.
see Linda. I can see
Hi.
sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I am Zebo from Tajikistan. When I would like to share, when I was in a high school as a student or university, I didn't really like when my teacher corrected my errors, and I feel embarrassed, and I felt very not comfortable when everybody look at me and teacher corrected me. And but when I become a teacher, when I were in training or workshops, when someone corrected me, I wanted that. As a teacher, I liked when others corrected me, because when somebody correct you, you want to understand it and not make it next time. As an adult, I understand that it is necessary, but as a young teenager, I didn't like it. Thank you very much.
I can see Linda. Yes, Linda, can you share your thought with us?
Yes, and it's the same as my colleagues, my friends said. I used to hate it when I was a little girl because students used to mock me and make fun of me. But when I grew old, I hated if a teacher wouldn't correct my mistake. Even though I know that I made a mistake, I wait always from my teacher to correct me, but they don't. So it depends. That's all. Thank you.
All right, we have maybe Karima. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So, Uh, for me, I think it depends on the way or the way that the teacher corrects his students. For example, I am not against the idea that my teacher would correct my mistakes, but sometimes a teacher didn't correct you in a good way, or how to say it. Like, for example, he would sometimes, how to say it, but for example, he would like to make you feel like you've done something very, very wrong, and you feel so, make you feel like you are a stupid person because you've done this mistake, and which really I hate because of that. But sometimes some teachers are really intelligent, and in the way they correct you, they would like to give you time to tell all your idea, no matter how you are going to say it, no matter how many mistakes you are going to do or to make. And then when you complete your idea, he will discuss the idea of you and thank you, and then say it would better if you say this in this way. I think it's, you know, I hope you get me.
Personally, I really understand like the last two answers very much because they spoke exactly to my next idea. Well, I can see also I can read the comments and they are really interesting because as a teacher we need to know what is exactly the difference between a mistake and an error because it was uttered too much. So
Salah, I think that your mic is muted. Can you just unmute it and carry on, please?
hello.
Okay, it's clear now.
Yeah, because it was muted for some reason. I don't know why. So okay, let's let's. I was talking about the difference between a mistake and an error. As I said, a mistake is actually accidental. We know that it is. We know that what we said is incorrect for some reason, but we make it because it was like accidental. But for errors, is we make errors because we don't have the knowledge about it, so we don't have information about it. So that's the difference between the two, and we teachers need to know that these differences are, for instance, these differences are made because the students are actually the students are actually kind of not aware of the sentence or the you know the error they are making because they don't have information about it, and that's why we teach. Okay, so and it's true as the participants that spoke earlier and said and talked about an important matter, which was really appealing. The way the teacher does their correction is really important, whether it goes straight to the point and helps the student learn more, or it actually makes them frustrated and not wanting to learn anymore. It is really important to put that in to put that out there. So since we know the difference between a mistake and an error, we can approach more and more. This next slide is as I did before. I brought some of the materials I'm getting, by the way, are from the CELTA training books. Okay, CELTA training books, because when I did the CELTA training, I thought it is really important for me to share what I learned with the other teachers that are out there as well who are in need of this training. And it is vitally important to keep learning about how to transmit the language. to our students. So here, this material, as I told you, was taken from the self-to-training book. Okay, and you can take a look here. 3 comments from 3 different teachers, acting teachers, about error. Okay, they are sharing their thoughts about it, as you shared earlier. So the first one is Olga. She says that errors need to be avoided at all costs. I don't want my learners to pick up bad habits. I want to have some thoughts, please, about this idea. What do you think? This is for you guys out there listening.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't agree with Olga because errors don't need to be avoided. I don't want my learners to pick up bad habits is a big idea, I think. If we don't correct one of the error or mistake, I don't think my students get bad habits.
Okay, let's hear from Chan. Chan.
Hello, hi, thank you very much. Yeah, I agree with the previous lady who just spoke. I don't think that we should be so harsh with errors. I think it's a natural part of learning, and obviously, you know, every learner is going to make them. It's just, it shouldn't be such a big deal, like should be avoided at all costs. They're inevitable, I believe.
Maybe we want to hear from Lina.
Hello everyone. Well, I also do not agree with this statement because error cannot be avoided. So they are a part of the learning. So when a learner commits an error or mistake, it will build their learning, and they will be able not to commit the same error again. So to say that errors can be avoided or they are bad habits, it's actually wrong, because learning consists of making errors. It's what makes us grow and it's what makes us learn. Thank you.
Okay, Salah, I may be sharing with you some of the comments from the chat thread. So we have one said it is very important to avoid the clarification of mistakes. So they should not be allowed to repeat the mistakes, but it might be a good idea to just offer alternatives without negative criticism. Nui said, I think she is wrong at some points. Without errors, we can't learn. One said, Loaders, but the point is to get more from mistakes. Since they bring us more opportunities, you can learn from mistakes, but not from errors. John said, I can avoid mistakes by providing careful instructions, but if people are questions, they may want to express things that are not part of their active vocabulary, and they may experiment with the language. Jamila said, without errors, we cannot learn a match. We are stuck in the same level. We can't acknowledge everything and be perfect in everything. And we have Salah saying errors are part of the learning process. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is indeed. All these are really interesting thoughts, actually. But I wouldn't agree with Olga. I mean, Olga, here it is as one comment is said, it is too harsh for a teacher to think so, that no error has to be made. I mean, we cannot do that because learning needs making mistakes or errors. It's important for the learning process, as also one comment is shared earlier. Let's see about Maria Grafia. she said errors are a natural part of the learning process, and as teaching material, they're really useful. Why they are useful, and I can share a bit her thought actually with you. Why they are useful? Because from those errors made during class, during learning, during learning, they are an example of how to correct them. They are an example of what to avoid during our learning process, so we can avoid errors and actually learn from them. Paula, she said, I feel bad correcting my students' errors. It's judgmental and demotivating. Well, I don't agree. I don't really agree. I had, from my own experience, sometimes I had a one-to-one class, and I felt like I needed to correct my student, but at the end of all activities, and at sometimes she felt frustrated because she thought I wasn't really paying attention, and she thought I really didn't want to correct her because maybe this is not part of the process of teaching or anything. So I had to change and adapt, after CELT, I had to adapt my lesson plan to know where and when to correct mistakes and errors. So I had to adapt, and we are going to see later the mistakes, how to correct. I mean, what to do. We are going to see them later. You are going to adapt when to correct on the spot, whether to correct at the end of a group activity or in the middle, or just make a whole, prepare a whole activity or task that shows the students their mistakes by themselves. I mean, self evaluation, if you want so. So actually, I don't agree so much with Paula now, because even though if I feel bad, I have my ways of correcting the errors of my students, and it doesn't have to involve being harsh or hurting them or any of that sort. So earlier we talked about what is error correction in language teaching. So it is the process of sharing information to students, if you want, in a way that it could help them use and learn more. Do we know the difference between mistakes and errors? We answered earlier. We said that a mistake is kind of accidental, and we know actually that it's a mistake, so it's an error. So we keep doing it because besides, we keep doing it, but it's not intentional. It's just force of habit, but we have to correct it. But errors, we said that errors are due to lack of information, so we don't have the information about the fact or the point, the idea being shared. That's why we make errors, and by errors we learn after that. Okay, so my next question to you guys is why we correct errors, and I'm sure you are going to share your thoughts about that, but we spoke also about those earlier in your comments. So correcting errors is actually part of the learning process. That's why we do correct them. So for our students to avoid, in a grammar lesson, a written essay, sorry, or an oral presentation, for them to avoid making, making fool of themselves while presenting, or to avoid to avoid being embarrassed. They have to, they learn from their mistakes, and in that way they'll be able to be more confident and obviously become fluent speaking the language. So do you have any thoughts about why we correct errors?
So maybe Shan has something to say.
Yeah, I mean, completely agree with the speaker there. It's a balancing act. I think you know, you have to kind of balance between not demotivating the learner, and also, while on the same hand, on the other side, not trying to, you know, let the error become repetitive. That's the only thing I'd like to add. Thank you.
Yes, Sarah.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, hello.
Okay. So if we do not correct our learners' error, I think we are going to make them at some point a joke for others. For instance, if we do not if we do not really teach them the correct way of writing a letter of application, if they make some mistakes and we do not correct them, if they are going to send that letter of application to someone, what would, I think at some point that they would fail. Don't you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we can hear from Mustafa Aziz.
Hi, everyone. Actually, I believe that most teachers go to error correction because they're afraid of students being fossilized. For example, having errors in their language and going away with their errors, not correcting them. So, out of this fear, we always like go and correct them. But we may like consider and reflect on the ways that we use, which one works and which one does not, and based on that go on. I think the main cause is facilization, that we go and correct their errors. Thank you.
Yeah, let's see, Lina Ben Zrara.
Hello. Well, correcting errors is a part of the job of the teacher after all. So a teacher is a facilitator, thus he or she should correct their students' errors in order not to commit the same errors over again, and also in order for the learners to learn from their errors and by giving them a constructive criticism so they won't feel embarrassed or shy to commit errors the next time. Thank you.
If you allow me to share some of comments from the chat thread, I start with Ibro. Error correction is important in language learning. At some points, I let my students correct each other's error mistakes. I think peer correction is also effective in learning. Another one, of course, error correction is a natural part of teaching, but the way of correcting is very important. It is sometimes a very effective way to tell the student directly that she made a mistake, and sometimes we have to help them to find out their mistakes. Joe said, when we found the students' mistakes or errors, we have to adjust the teaching methods to meet their needs, I think. Loader said that's why the feedback is absolutely necessary. Some teachers keep that. Another one said, and sometimes I made some mistakes in the classroom consciously, and they find my mistakes and give them a self-confidence area. Graciela, sorry if I mispronounced the name. If we don't correct error, they can be fossilized. Salah said, should error correction be immediate or delayed? This is a question maybe you would answer later on or throughout your.
We will answer this question earlier with the slides. It has its part. Yes, it's an important one. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, that's all.
Perfect. So now we go to, I have an activity for you guys. We have errors and we have their classifications. This part here is going to show us. Can you see the screen? I did change the slide, but
Yes,
yes,
it
you can
is
see the screen.
appeared now. Yes,
It's a board. Perfect. Okay. So, as I said here, this table has errors from a side and a classifications from the other side. Okay. So what I want you to do is, or we are going to work on it together if you want, is like to match 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 errors to which classifications goes for. Like for the first one, she likes her job. She works for the same company for a year. Sorry?
Hello, Salah. This is speaking. Sorry for the interruption. I want to guide your attention to something that is really annoying, which is I'm hearing kind of vibration. I don't know where is the source of it, but wherever this vibration and this kind of noise around is coming from, I hope that just you can do something regarding it. Thank you so much, and sorry again for the interruption.
No problem, no problem. I just I fixed it, but I don't know if it is mine, but because it's silent, and also Sam told me about it, but I don't think it's mine, but I'm not sure. You can let me go throughout the session if it still goes on or not. I'm picking up my phone. Maybe I don't know if it's vibrating or not, but let's see. Okay. So as I said, we have in our table have errors from a side and classifications from the other side. So classifications mean we are talking about the different the types of errors we have, whether it is related to word stress or intonation or word order maybe, or the choice of words, vocabulary, register, and problems with the verbs we choose. Okay, so what do you think, which error, which classification goes with which error? Let's start with the first one. Can I have some answers for she likes her job, she works for the same company for years?
So maybe Sarah want to share her answer. Go ahead, Sarah.
Okay, I think the first error goes with problem with the choice of the verb form. So she likes her job. She has been working for the same company for years. So it is the present perfect continuous.
Okay. What about the others? Do you have any thoughts?
So let's see, Malas or Shan again.
Hi everyone. I agree with the previous lady here. You can use the present perfect continuous if you want to focus on the longevity of the action, but you can also use the present perfect to say she's worked for the same company for years.
Okay, let's see from Suzanne. Susanna.
Hi. Okay, so for number 2, when the person says bring me the menu in a restaurant, I think the problem is the register, which would be E.
Indeed, it is the register. We cannot talk to working people like that, yet alone to make an error this big. I do agree. What about number 3?
Mustafa, Aziz, Aziz. Or Sabrina. Yes, Sabrina, go ahead.
So my brother fell.
My brother fell off his bike, but he was not badly damaged. Problem with the choice of words. Damagely hurt, I think. D.
What about number 4? It's holiday, isn't it?
Yes, Sarah? Or Malas? Jamal Sahrawi, can you share your answer, please? Jamal.
Hello, it's me, Malas.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say the answer related to number 3. It's the problem with the choice of vocabulary because we cannot say it's damaged.
Indeed. What about number 4? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yes, of course. Number 4, it's related to a problem with intonation.
Okay. And number 5, this sofa is very comfortable.
It's with the word stress.
Absolutely, because the way it is written in here, it is written for us to be pronouncing it comfortable, which is wrong. So we have the problem is pronunciation basically, and it is pronounced comfortable instead of comfortable. It's an error made by many students actually. So what about where is standing the teacher?
It's of course with the word order, where the teacher.
Absolutely, it's word order. Yes, absolutely. So actually, the why I wanted to have this to show you this table actually for this activity specifically is to let you know that we don't have only mistakes or errors made regarding to grammar. We can find other mistakes in other other as you can see here classified differently. So if we know when to correct the register, we can help them, help our students better learn and talk to people in the right way. When you are talking to your teacher, it's going to be different than the way you are talking to your peers or to your friends, etc. So for instance, when you make a ask a question here and you have a word order error, so we can teach you so you could know, for instance, when to ask the question properly and actually use the right word order, etc. So bear in mind as teachers, bear in mind that we have different classifications of errors, and once we know what are they, we can teach them teach them best. Okay, so do you, as teachers, as acting teachers, do you recall any errors made by your own students? And if yes, can you share with us what type of errors were made, so we can have an idea about what is happening?
Yes, Abdulrazak want to say something? Yes, go ahead, Abdulrazak.
Yes, good afternoon. I got a very common kind of mistake that's been happening widely and therefore to everyone, which is typo, which is graphical mistakes. I mean, mistakes in typing, especially when I'm talking to my friends or when I'm trying to explain something for my friends via chatting, via internet, I mean. So they generally and most likely make mistakes of writing. So did you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Good. That's my yes, that's my experience.
Okay, thank you. Jamal Sahrawi?
Hello, can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
The most common mistakes are made by my pupils. A grammar mistake and spelling mistakes. I noticed that when I make this diagnostics test at the beginning of the school year, they make many mistakes about spelling and grammar mistakes. Thank you.
Okay, maybe Suad? Suad want to say something? If not Suad, let's have Susanna.
Okay, so my students obviously make the typical grammar and vocabulary mistakes, but I actually tend to focus a lot on mistakes in register as well as intonation, because I feel that sometimes students say things that might come across rude just because they don't know the register.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so according to the question here, recall some of the errors made by your own students. I think my students do all the kind of errors mentioned in the table before. Hello?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah? Sarah maybe want to say something? Before I read some of the comments I have here on the chat thread. Okay, so usually Jamila said usually it's spelling mistakes. Widad said the errors that are mostly made by my students are grammatical ones, especially the S of the third person singular when conjugating verbs in the simple present. Sometimes students make a lot of spelling mistakes in addition to stylistic, intonation, and word choice mistakes. Sometimes it's words that are misused. Also, someone else sharing that grammar mistakes, spelling and choice of words. Also, misselection, pronunciation mistakes, grammar mistakes, punctuation. Okay, that's what I have. Spelling mistakes and pronunciation mistakes and words order. How to make people understand that a comma exists. Actually, in students' printed work, it feels like grammatically and spell checkers have helped to reduce the number of formal mistakes. Lexical mistakes are more common. That's what I have on the chat thread. Yes, Salah, you can carry on.
Thank you so much. Okay, and this is actually very, very interesting to know. Okay, so here we are going to talk about when you should be correcting your students. I think this part is very important, and to answer the question earlier, when to correct when your students are making their errors. Is it in the beginning? Is it at the end? And etc. So here we've got 4 lessons, so 4 slides, 4 lessons, and you are going to notice the mistakes made by students, and you should let me know which one of the 3 you are going to choose for them to when you are going to correct them, basically. So the first one, when do you think you should not correct the error? The second one, when do you think you should delay the correction and provide feedback at the end of the activity? And when do you think you should correct the error immediately? Okay, so let's take a look at the first lesson. Okay, So here, the first lesson, the students are working in different groups. The teacher is walking around the class, monitoring, and hears these utterances from speakers in the different groups. So the first student says, technology is such important for all of us. The second, in my country, everyone uses computers. The third, yeah, I agree with Anja. And four, I prefer to text friends than email them. So when you see this lesson, and when you are a teacher walking around your class, monitoring, and you are picking up these utterances, when do you think it is the right time to correct? Any thoughts? I am so sorry, moderator. My classes are my slides are all interactive. I'm sorry. I'm making you crazy. I know. Bear with me though.
It's
okay. Go
no,
ahead.
no problem. Okay, so I just wanted to see if any one of you wants to share his opinion about when when should we correct our students? Maybe we have let's say Suad. Yes, Suad. Or maybe we have Karima. Karima, go ahead.
Yes. Okay, for this example, I think since the activity seems more the purpose behind this activity seems more about communication, of course. So for me, I think when it's all about communication and expressing yourselves or practicing the language, it is better to delay your correction because the most aim is to communicate and express yourself freely. So, for example, if a teacher correct his students in this example immediately, of course, one of the students is going to feel first frustrated, or maybe he will lose the next idea he's going to share. Maybe he was going to start thinking about the mistake. And of course, if the way the teacher correct him was not really good, of course, it's going to make him underestimate himself and feel anxious about carry on communicating and engaging in the game or in the activity. That's it. Thank you.
I perfectly agree with you. Thank you so much. Actually, I would do the same because this is a communicative activity. So it is a task where they are sharing their ideas, they are talking. I will let them talk and actually feel free to practice the English language because this is the aim of teaching languages. So I would take notes. As a teacher, I would know that as a teacher, you should always have a notebook. You take notes there, and then at the end of the class or at the end of the activity, you captivate their attention, and you share these errors with them and let them know how to correct them. I mean, you can make it as a new task as well. Make them learn from their mistakes. It's very good. Thank you so much. Let's see the second lesson. Okay, and what's your job, Freddie? I work in hotel. My job is to make the guests. So, what do you think you should do here? 1, 2, or 3? Anyone, please?
Do we have Chan?
Yeah, I would definitely correct this error immediately because this is just that doesn't make any sense, and yeah, I would like make sure the error is corrected immediately and explain why it's not correct.
Okay, the same speaker. How would you do it? How would you correct it though? I'm more interested in that.
So I would it really depends because a lot of students think in their native languages, and they sometimes just translate directly, that sentence into English. So if I have some sort of background of the language of the student, I would probably tell them that this is how it works in your language, but in English, you don't make people, you make things or objects, but not people.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that's nice. Thank you so much. And also, I do. Let's see the three. What would you do? We have a new student today. Sarah. Can you introduce yourself? And she's introduced herself. I'm from Moscow. I'm absolutely happy to join now. What would you do? Anyone?
Sorry, Salah, for interrupting, but Suad, would you please mute yourself because we cannot hear the speaker. Would you please repeat your question, Salah? Thank you.
Yes. Okay, very good. So as I said, this is lesson 3. So lesson 2, I agree with the participant. Thank you for your answer. Now, lesson 3, here, which one do you choose? Are you going to choose 1, 2, or 3 regarding the teacher said, or says, we have a new student today, Vera. Can you introduce yourself? And she introduces herself by saying, I am coming from Moscow. I'm absolutely happy to join this class. So would you rather correct, you should not correct the error? Would you rather delay the correction or correct it in the spot? I mean, immediately. Anyone?
Yes, Abdulrazak, go ahead.
I don't feel like this is an error. I mean, I think that this is misunderstanding of the question. He told her to introduce herself, and she only said that she's coming from Moscow, and she's happy to join the class. I mean, there is no error as far as I can see. So I would go for not correcting.
So, Abdulrazak, do you think that there is no mistakes to be corrected, or the aim of the not correcting because you think that the activity is focusing more on fluency and not accuracy? Could you please explain more your opinion?
No, I said that in this example, in lesson 3, I think that the girl, Vera, did not understand the question properly. I mean, did not answer in a good way, but there is no mistake in what she said. I mean, she said, I'm coming from Moscow. I'm absolutely happy to join this class. It's absolutely correct, as far as I can see. But she should introduce herself by giving her name, her age, her, I don't know, other things. And thank you.
Yes, before hearing the opinion of Salah, let's see from Khawla. If you can hear me, Khawla, would you please answer? Okay, so Susanna.
Yeah, okay, so I can see 2 minor mistakes in the student's reply. The first one is she's saying she's coming from Moscow, but I assume that she wants to say she comes from Moscow. And then the second problem is the adjective. I don't think you would be absolutely happy. You could be very happy, but not absolutely, from my point of view. But I think the point here is that the student is new to the class and, like, correcting their mistake immediately when, like, as soon as they introduce themselves is probably not the best strategy, I don't think.
Delayed and very good. Here we can choose to not correct her on the spot. We can delay it at the end of the class, or even correct it, or give it as an example in another lesson. So we can welcome her, because it would be that would be sensitive. I do agree. Thank you so much. Let's see lesson 4. Okay, the students, sorry, have just listened to a recorded interview. Now, teacher, okay, what instrument does he play? And the student replied, he is play saxophone. What would you do? Anyone?
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Okay. So go ahead, Shan. Yes, it's okay. Go ahead.
So I wouldn't correct it immediately because the student is using the present simple. Sorry, present tense, not present simple. Should be using the present continuous. So yeah, I wouldn't, because he's using the present tense, I wouldn't correct it immediately. I would give feedback later.
Very good. Anyone else?
So we have maybe Linda want to say something? Or Karima? Or Jen? Okay, go ahead.
Again, for this activity, I think the aim of this activity is checking the listening skill of the students. So again, I would be correcting them or delay the correction after, because I'm more focusing on their listening skills. So they have listened to the recording and they would answer the questions after the recording. So I wouldn't be correcting them immediately, and of course I will be correcting them after about this mistake.
Well, when you look at it, this is like a listening task, which means this in the listening task you shouldn't be delaying the answer for later because you have other tasks coming. So you have to, you should be correcting either on the spot or at the end of this task, because we have to handle this task because it serves to another task coming or at the end of the task in the lesson plan. So my opinion here is to correct them within this task instead of delaying it for later. Now, how to correct errors? It is also very important, as another participant said. The way the teacher corrects the error or the mistake is very important because it could affect the student somehow. Okay, let's take a look at this part here. So the student says, we go to the beach yesterday. Teacher 1, yesterday. So grammar. Now, the teacher 1 is trying to give the student a chance to realize the error they are making. Okay, so by saying what type of mistake or error they are doing, that could give them the opportunity to correct themselves. A second teacher would say, yesterday and give them the chance to finish up the sentence by also knowing that we should use yesterday maybe before, in the beginning of the sentence. Another teacher would say this, not quite. Look, and it starts explaining. We go to the beach yesterday. Okay, so by using the teacher by using his hands, sorry, or her hands, okay, and trying to indicate the time, okay, the time when that should be happening. Is it like really yesterday? Okay, do we go to the beach yesterday? I mean, are we supposed to use yesterday, etc.? So teacher number 4 is going to be blunt with it and say, sorry, do you mean you go every day? I mean, by using a question, you are going to give the student opportunity to rethink his sentence or his answer. Teacher 5 would be saying, you went to the beach, that's nice. Who did you go with? You know, trying to make it as a conversation by also a conversation to make them realize which tense they are using, either using the past or they should be using the future or the present, etc. And teacher number 6, activity continues until at the end. The teacher says, I heard someone say, we go to the beach yesterday. Can anyone correct that? So grab the attention of everybody at the end and, you know, give it 2 minutes, you know, reflection, and give all the ability to students to rethink the answer. So I want your opinions, guys. Which one do you think you should be using, maybe for this type of situation, and why?
Okay, maybe I have Jalal Bilbagara. Yes, Jalal. Okay.
Yes, Zina, thank you. Actually, I was raising my hand for the previous slide, but yes, I can give my opinion about this one. I think that the best practice teacher might follow in this scenario or in this situation would be the 6th one, for 2 reasons. Maybe the first reason is that to keep like the running of the session and not like mix the class, and also it's to demonstrate, I mean, to share the knowledge and to share this piece of information with all the class with that particular student. Maybe he is not the only one who maybe misunderstands the rule or whatever is information. So in my opinion, as teacher, the 6th teacher, so that that concerned student will know what mistake he exactly might have committed, and in the meantime, that the benefit will be for all the classroom and not only for that student. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Edita Shaman. Would you?
Yes, of course. In my opinion, the 5th option is the best one because if the student can correct himself, then he actually didn't make the mistake. I would try to elicit the true answer. For example, if he made a mistake and said, I go to the beach yesterday, he could correct himself. I would give him an example. You went to the beach. That's nice. Who did you go with? Then if he could say, I went with my friends, then he actually realized that he made a mistake. And if he didn't realize, I would try with the 5th option. That would be like a 2nd option, in my opinion. At the end, I would ask, somebody said, I go to the beach, can you correct it? But at the end of the lesson, if he didn't realize the mistake. That would be my answer.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Malas? Maybe Malas?
Yes, I think E is the best choice, and also I think B is good because you can draw the student attention to his own mistake, and he might consider his mistake and correct it by himself.
Okay. Susanna?
Yes, I agree. I would also correct this mistake on the spot because clearly this is a slip. The student knows what the correct answer is. So he or she would be perfectly able to correct themselves if you just indicate with maybe raising intonation, saying something like, oh, you go. And I would not do delayed correction because yeah, I think the students should be able to correct themselves.
I can share some of the answers from the chat thread. Most of them thinking that 6 and option 6 and 5 are the most that they have chosen, and some others for B, and some others saying that they are almost doing all these. I mean, from 1, 2, 3, and all of them they are making use of these options. So the hand is hand over to you, Salah. I will.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead.
I would just read Hasibas. I personally use most of these options according to the quality of the students I have. It depends. That's all. Can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. I like what I'm hearing, what I'm listening to. It's really refreshing, actually. Okay, so in this table, for the next slide, voila. In this table, so we have a correction strategy from A to F. Okay, what do you think are the advantages for this strategy, and what are the disadvantages for the strategy? So let's see the first one that we have an example of. Teacher prompts using terminology, example, grammar, tense, pronunciation, etc. So as we've seen, the previous one, the first teacher one. So as for the advantages, it is kind of easy to use, and it indicates the type of error that the learner should be looking for. So if I made a mistake in grammar, I would know where to correct. So I wouldn't be wandering around, oh my God, I don't know what mistake, sorry, what error. The disadvantages would be that the learner needs first to be familiar with the terminology we are using. He needs to know what means grammar, what means tense, pronunciation, intonation, etc. Okay, so I'll give also the mic to you guys. What do you think about the teacher repeats the utterance to the point of the error, like yesterday, you, etc. What do you think are the advantages for this one particularly?
So maybe Suad want to say something? Yes, Suad. If not Suad, Sarah Zbawi. Yes, Sarah. We can't hear you, Sarah. Maybe Khawla.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
First of all, I guess that the answer of teacher 5 is at our correction. It is correcting the learner's error in indirect way. So that's one of the most sorry for that. So one of the most advantage of this is that it enables the learner to do not feel stress or feel anxious, especially when they make an error in front of their classmate, so that the teacher sorry again, so that the teacher will correct his learner error in indirect way. It means that he will never get the attention to the learners while indicating his mistake. So it will decrease learner stress and anxiety. And one of the disadvantages is that when the teacher corrects the answer or the error of his learners, he will never the students will never the students will never know the word because it is error correction indirectly. So it doesn't raise the student's attention toward his mistake, his or her mistake. Did you get me?
Yes, thank you. Maybe we have Edita Shaman. Yes, Edita.
Okay. In my opinion, the only advantage of this kind of correcting the mistakes is correcting it in the spot, like immediately. And students can think of that mistake next time when they speak. But I think there are more disadvantages with this kind of correcting the mistakes because whenever we correct mistakes at the spot, students are ashamed, and I think they lose actually their self-confidence. And actually, I don't like this type of correction because it's not sensitive somehow for students to correct mistakes this way. I think we should be more sensible while correcting the mistakes. That's why I don't like this type of correctness.
Well, you can use it actually without, without cutting the communication part. I mean, you do not stop them where while they are speaking, but you just correct them the minute they finish. That's all. It is not, being rude about it or anything. You just, when you finish, you let them finish their sentence, and then you correct them. This is what we mean, like correcting them on the spot. It's not stopping them. Hey, you made a mistake. Would you please repeat it or do that? No, this is not the way. Yeah,
Sorry,
obviously, like for instance,
misunderstood.
yeah. Sorry, it's okay. It's okay. It's no big deal. So this is what we should do. Like, give them the time, the opportunity to finish their answer or their conversation, and then you just bring it up. So what about the advantages for C? I mean, finger correction. Teacher uses fingers to indicate the position of the error. It's, I mean, I could switch on my camera to show you, but you can use your hands. I mean, like, use each finger for a word in the sentence. So in the order, so they would, you can show them that maybe the first word is a determiner, the second is a noun, the third is a verb, the fourth is, the rest of the sentence, the fifth is like a comma or a full stop, etc. And in that case, when they speak and you want to correct them, you just raise your hand and indicate with your finger which finger is in which use, and in that case it's going to help them realize directly which error they made. So what do you think are the advantages of this one and the disadvantages as well? Let me know.
We have Jalal Sahrawi. Yes, Jalal.
Hello,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, I think this technique is more suitable and useful for correcting errors or mistakes in class because it gives the chance for learners to know where is the mistake and the error. I think it's more suitable and useful. Thank you.
Okay, Susanna, can you say your opinion? You raised your
Yes,
hand.
sure. I totally agree with my colleague Jamal. I also think this is the most effective type of error correction, and provided the mistake is a slip, you nicely indicate where the mistake is, and you massively reduce your teacher talking time, so you are not interfering with the student with what the student has to say. So I think this one is most effective.
Indeed, it is actually, but is it used in all kinds of errors we find? Can we use it for a written task, for instance?
Yes, as I said, provided it's a slip. When it comes to writing, then obviously it's impossible.
Okay, very good. Because we have different strategies than those we have in the box, of course, in here, but each one is used for a case or two or three, for instance, but they cannot be used in different ones. So that's why we need to know more about when to use the first, the second, third, etc. So what about asking a question? As a teacher asks a question, do you mean you go every day, for instance? What are the advantages of this one and the disadvantages of it as well? Can you share?
Yes, what?
Well, I think here the teacher gains time as he focuses on the error itself to drive the pupil's attention to correct it as rapidly as possible. Thank you.
Let's hear from Susanna again.
I think this type of error correction is most suitable for mistakes that hinder understanding. So basically, when the student says something that might be interpreted in a wrong way, I think this is a very nice way how to go about it, because you indicate that you totally misunderstood what the student said.
Absolutely, I do agree.
Yes, Sarah, we can't hear you.
I said I totally agree with her. What about reformulating? I mean, you've got the answer, it has an error or two maybe, and you correct it by reformulating, your answer to the student. Do you think it is a good strategy, and what are the advantages of it?
Yes, Jamal. If not Jamal, let's have Lita.
I think this type of correction is actually very suitable because students maybe are unaware that they made a mistake, and they will hear the correct answer, and they will not feel embarrassed for making the mistakes. Because you can say smoothly like, oh, you went to the beach, okay, and they will hear the correct answer, and it will be, I think, fine. They will realize the correct answer. And I think intonation is also very important while correcting the mistakes.
Strongly agree as well. Well, we mostly use all the time. We use delayed correction as a strategy. What do you think are the advantages of the delayed correction and the disadvantages of it?
Yes, Khawla, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
For me, I guess that ignoring learner mistake or delaying learner mistake, it is a suitable technique during correcting learners' error, especially at acquiring L2, because for example, sorry for that. Because, for example, at the presentation, the teacher wants to develop the learner speaking skill. And concerning learners' error, we have two types. We have correcting learners' error directly and indirectly. In the direct way, the teacher will stop his learners. He will interrupt his learners, and he will never let his students to continue speaking. And this is concerning as it is not bad way, but it will make learners hesitation, and it will not create a successful interaction, because the learners, they will feel I like to feel, they
Sorry, Khawla, we can't hear you now anymore. Maybe we will be hearing from Jamal before going to Salah. Yes, Jamal, if you can hear me. So you can go ahead, Salah.
Thank you so much. Okay. So I was actually Khawla's answer caught my attention. It is actually a fashion faux pas to interrupt our students and during their answer or their participation. I would never do it. It is rude to stop someone talking, yet alone when they are learning. Okay, so I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't stop, I wouldn't interrupt my students. Okay, but we have talkative students, I know, in classes, especially when they are, advanced classes or intermediate classes. They tend to like to talk all the time and talk too much or answer a lot by using, bigger sentences or, talking all the time. So we would actually try to figure out as teachers how to not interrupt them, but how to limit their participation so others can also participate. That is one of the things. But interrupting them, it's not a good way to do it. I strongly advise not to interrupt your students while they're answering. Try to cope with them and give them opportunity to to shine in their answer and actually learn from their mistakes instead of breaking them. So in this part, in this slide, I have some errors for you, and I want to know how would you correct them? Which strategy you would use to correct these mistakes. Let's give you the mic one more time. Can you borrow me some money? How would you answer this one?
Yes, Chan.
Yeah, I would use the finger correction method for this. It's a very common mistake. We see that a lot, I'm sure, as teachers, my fellow colleagues would agree. So I would use the finger correction, and I would, try and focus on the word borrow. And if you've studied the word before, a lot of times students do correct themselves.
Thank you so much. I like this one as well. Thank you. What about do you can jangle? How do you think you can correct this one?
Yes, Susanna.
Well, I actually think this is a complex mistake, and you could possibly either indicate by saying modal verb that the student doesn't need to do here, or you could possibly wait until the end of the activity and do a bit of delayed correction where you engage the whole class and yeah, elicit the answer.
I agree as well. What about bring me the menu? And we have seen this one before. If someone does that, bring me the menu is like being bossy about it. What do you think? How do you think you can correct this one?
Yes, Karima, go ahead.
For this, I could correct it like by saying, could you say it in a more polite way by just adding please? Can you say please whenever you request something to be more polite? And that's it.
Okay, from the strategies, which one do you think you can choose? Which one you go for?
I choose the immediately correcting.
Okay. Where is going or Felipe? How do you correct this one?
Yes, to add, maybe.
Yes, finger pointing finger or finger correction. I would say, where is Felipe going? Yes.
Okay, that's a good one as well. It could work. What about her father is a professor, a professor? I mean, it's not professor, it's professor. Obviously, this is a pronunciation mistake or error. Which one do you choose?
Yes, Karima. Not Karima. Suad.
Well, I would ask the learner to repeat his sentence again. So reformulating, for example.
Okay, what about my brother fell off his bike, but he wasn't badly damaged? Any thoughts?
Yes, could you please use the raising hand option if you want to answer this question? I can see only Suad is raising her hand. Maybe from the last time, or you really want to answer this question too? Yes, Suad?
It's okay. I'll say something. The only thing I'd say here is I don't know if my colleagues would agree with this, but the sentence is very long. And the mistake is right at the very end. So maybe the student sometimes would be a bit lost, like where is the mistake, because the sentence is kind of long. For example, if it was say my brother damaged himself when he fell off the bike. Okay. Yeah, that would be, the mistake would be at the beginning. Would be easy to focus. By the time you kind of get at the end of the sentence, the student might not feel like they know where they went wrong. This is just my opinion.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. So now, as we have seen in this webinar, I talked about what is an error, what is error correction. We discussed the different ways we can correct our students' errors, and also when we should correct them. So since it is an error correction class, I would like to know, how did you find the webinar? Do you have any questions about today's webinar? And have I made any errors so far? And how would you propose to correct me?
All right, so maybe we have Hasiba Bitam. Yes, Hasiba, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot, Sir Salah. Thanks for all of you. Though I wasn't here from the beginning, but I like it so much. And I have something to add, Sir Salah, if you wish, concerning the quality of students. As I said before, sometimes a student needs to be corrected right away because he knows that the answer was that, and maybe he has just forgotten. Sometimes students, shy students, need to be corrected right after in order not to maybe to embarrass them in front of their schoolmates. And sometimes you let the students fetch for the mistake themselves, and then they'll correct themselves. Sometimes when you exchange ideas with their own colleagues or schoolmates, as we can say, can make them or can better their English. So concerning, that's what I say to novice teachers, concerning error correction, when we talk about methodology, it's an art. And when you talk to practice, it's another cup of tea. Sometimes it's up to the students. It's up to your mood too, because we are humans, and that's it. Sometimes all I do in the classroom is to get into the objective or the, I don't know, error correction is very hard to manage. Thank you all.
Okay, maybe Jalal want to say something? Yes, go ahead, Jalal.
Thank you very much, Zainab. I would like to thank Mr. Salah for his wonderful presentation. And actually, I side with Hasiba in all what she said. Just I would like to add something, which is just to consider the circumstances and all what goes around that particular situation where the mistake has been committed. So I believe that the teacher, there is no one who knows his students and the level of his learners better than the teacher. So I can't say that maybe there is a method, correction method or way that overweighs the other. They are all effective at a certain point. So it's up to the teacher to, let's say, to decide which one comes or which one is right at that particular situation. So each and every single way has its use. And I believe this is it up to so many factors that really the teacher needs to consider, because we do not correct those excellent students' mistakes the same way with those of beginners or young students, because it's all up to their level that we really need to consider. That's all what I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jalal. Yes, Sarah.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes. Hello, Sarah.
So, can you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
So, thank you you very much, Salah, for your presentation. It was really great. And for error correction, I should advise teachers to pay attention to the way they correct their learners. So some teachers correct their learners' errors not in a polite way. So if we do not correct them in a polite way, they would be demotivated and they would not speak in our sessions. Believe me, sometimes my learners make horrible, but I always try to correct them in a very nice way in order not to make them demotivated. So this is it. This is the only thing I want to add.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to share some comments. Someone says that it's for you, this question, Salah. It is today's webinar was a kind of remedial work rather than error correction. What do you think?
Can you repeat it again? Sorry.
He said that today's, let's say, strategies and techniques, it looks like more remedial work and not error correction.
It is basically it is me today. I wanted to share with you the ways we can correct our students or our learners, and what kind of strategies we are going to use or we should be using during a class. And so I want you all, participants to use them if you can in your lesson planning. Since there are strategies to correct errors, we can also put them in our plan, and that is going to help us a lot. Correct our students without being harsh when it comes to their feelings or else. So that was basically why the presentation was like this. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I do agree with you, Salah. Remedial work is it's based on the type of the mistakes that we have during the session. All what we have sharing during this webinar, it's type of strategies that we have to deal once we have our students making errors. And making a collection of data through your reflections, through your reflective journals, you can plan for remedial work to get rid of these errors, especially when you see that there is a lot of your students that have in the same type of mistakes here. You can plan for a remedial work. I thank you very much. It was really interesting and fruitful discussion. There was very interesting, inspiring question and answer. I really would like to thank you, Salah, for your consideration, contribution, and your continuous support for us, ELT Virtual University. Thank you, ELT Virtual University team. For making this event. Thank you, participant, for attending. Thank you for your great participation and and sharing your experience and experience with us. Concerning certification, you will be receiving it before receiving the invite for our next webinar. So would you please make sure before you leave that you have written your correct full names in English. Thank you so much. Time. See you again with a new topic, with a new speaker, and with a new teaching experience. Thank you again, and goodbye.